Let's be real. Running a multi-cloud platform is complex. So how in the world do you get a new engineer up to speed and productive without just completely overwhelming them? Well, we're going to architect an onboarding process that feels less like a boring checklist and a lot more like a guided journey from total newcomer to confident owner.
So I've got a question for you right off the bat. Is your onboarding process basically just a series of checkboxes? Set up the laptop, get access to the code, read the wiki. If that sounds familiar, you might be accidentally setting up your new engineers for a really long, slow, and kind of frustrating start.
And look, here's the fundamental reason that whole checklist idea just falls apart. Multi-cloud platforms aren't just a shopping list of services from AWS, Azure, and Google. No way. They're these sprawling, deeply interconnected ecosystems with their own history, their own logic, their own culture even. A simple checklist can't possibly capture that. And what you get is an engineer who feels lost and pretty disconnected. So what's the alternative? What's the better map? Well, we're going to lean on a classic for a reason, the 30, 60, 90-day plan. We're going to treat onboarding as a very deliberate journey. So let's walk through each of these phases, from building that solid foundation all the way to achieving real autonomy. Okay, let's dive into that first 30-day block, building foundations. I want you to think of this like you're teaching someone to drive in a brand new city. You give them a map and you teach them the rules of the road. The point isn't to see how fast they can floor it, it's about making sure they know the rules and can navigate safely. Now, this is absolutely crucial. The focus here is all about absorption, not immediate output. In this phase, the engineer is basically a detective. They're poring over architecture diagrams, they're playing around in safe lab environments, and they're just a fly on the wall in meetings. The goal isn't to ship code, it's to understand what you have and, way more importantly, why on earth it was built that way in the first place. Right, so that first project, it absolutely cannot be a trial by fire. It needs to be a confidence builder. Go find a tiny, well-understood bug. Honestly, the bug fix itself barely matters. What does matter is them learning the process, submitting a pull request, getting feedback, and seeing something they actually touched go live. That is a massive psychological win. It's huge. So that first project is a great win, but it brings up a really important question. You want to encourage that kind of exploration, right? But in a live multi-cloud environment, one wrong click can be, well, let's just say expensive. So how do you create a safe sandbox for that curiosity? And the answer is guardrails. And let's be super clear, this is not about locking things down. It's the opposite. It's about enabling freedom within safe boundaries. Guardrails are just automated rules and pre-built templates that kind of nudge engineers toward the best practices, so a senior engineer doesn't have to look over their shoulder every 5 seconds. And here are some real-world examples to make this concrete. Guardrails aren't some abstract theory, they're super practical. Think about an automated alert that screams if a test environment's cost suddenly spikes, or a build pipeline that just automatically fails if a new security hole is introduced, or reusable code modules for spinning up standard infrastructure. These things don't just stop accidents. They say, here's the safe, pre-approved, fast way to get your job done. All right, phase 1 is done. Let's pick up the pace. We are now in days 31 to 60, and the theme is all about gaining momentum. The focus makes a really important shift here, from just learning the system to actively contributing to it. And this comparison here, it just lays out that evolution so perfectly. In month 1, they were absorbing information. Now they're applying it. They were shadowing others. Now they're actively pairing with their peers to solve problems. And that little bug fix they did, well, that graduates to owning a small, self-contained feature. It's a clear, tangible step up in responsibility. So their second project naturally reflects this step up. Notice the difference. Now they're not just fixing something, they're scoping requirements, they're writing tests, they're guiding that feature all the way through deployment. They're engaging with a much, much bigger slice of the development lifecycle now. And that, of course, brings us to the final stretch, days 61 to 90. This phase is all about achieving true autonomy. The engineer isn't just a passenger in the car anymore. They're ready to take the wheel. And just as important, they're ready to start giving back to the team. I absolutely love this quote. It gets to the very heart of what we're trying to do here. You're not just training someone to use your platform. You are cultivating the next generation of people who are going to improve it, who are going to sustain it, and who are going to lead it. You're creating an owner. And this final project, wow, this is the capstone. It's the culmination of the entire journey. The engineer isn't just handed a task. They design a solution. They present it and defend it. They lead the build, and then they document it for everyone else. But that last step, that's the magic ingredient. Teach. By teaching someone else what they just built, they lock in their own understanding and complete the cycle. This is the moment they go from student to a true steward of the platform.
Okay, so we've walked through the whole journey. Let's boil this all down into a super clear, actionable roadmap you can actually take back and use with your team. And here it is, the whole plan on one slide. It all starts by building a foundation of confidence with a small, safe win. Then you build momentum by giving them a real feature to own, which fosters real collaboration. And finally, you grant autonomy by letting them design, lead, and teach, turning them into a true owner who actually creates new knowledge for the team. You see how each phase builds right on top of the last one?
So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? We've architected a journey. We took that passive, boring checklist from the very beginning, threw it out, and we replaced it with a deliberate path that doesn't just train someone. It actually transforms a newcomer into a genuine team owner.
And that just leaves us with one final question for you. You don't have to go and implement this entire thing tomorrow, but just looking at your current process, what's the first small change you can make? Maybe it's just defining a better confidence builder project for new hires, or maybe it's creating one simple guardrail. What's that first small step on your team's journey?